everything else has just been little opportunities that have come my way. Like we're for CCW, for Capital Championship Wrestling,
Mhm.
getting paired up with Ella J. Like that was such a fun experience that I never really thought that I would ever do, but it just kind of came about because we wanted to get to know more about the talent on the roster. And I had never met Ella before, but we had this really great chemistry, and it led to some really, really awesome kind of exploration of who these people are and getting to know them a little bit better. So things have just kind of like come in
Yeah.
succession, but it all really started from just getting in the wrestling world through the school, through Santino Brothers.
I feel like you have such a unique start to it because I never had anybody start that way before. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of Astrid Asks. Here with me today, I have the honor of having Alyssa Marino with me, but Alyssa also, like Ella and like Samir, does a lot of things. So I'm going to let her introduce herself and everything that she does so I don't miss anything. So, how are you, Alyssa?
I am great, Astrid. Thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, I'm a pro wrestling commentator, ring announcer, broadcaster, podcaster. I do a show about eating cereal. I just do a lot of wacky, wonderful, random little things in this world.
I can say I love all the random things that you do, but it still is amazing to see everything you do.
Thank you so
um,
much. And thanks for having me on.
No, of course, you're one of the people that I always wanted to get like a little bit of your mind when it comes to like commentary and ring announcing, because you're one of the few people that I know that does it. And I just wanted to get that mindset of that aspect in the show because I haven't had anybody really do it, both things. So I figured that would be interesting from your point of view. And I also have a couple community questions for you, which was amazing to see for this episode. So let's get right on to it.
Get it.
First thing that I wanted to like start with, because I don't know that part of your life. When is it, and what was that moment that you started to watch wrestling?
Okay, so I watched wrestling when I was very, very little, like maybe like 3 or 4. And I used to watch it with my great grandfather, and I would watch like highlights and best moments of The Undertaker. And I would be terrified of not The Undertaker, but Paul Bearer for some reason. I don't know.
Mm.
And like, highlights of Ric Flair and stuff like that. And then I fell off for the longest time and didn't actually start like really getting back into it until like 2016. And then just had a lot of like things of the past to catch back up on and do my research on. But yeah, I kind of like caught it by accident and I was just hooked. And then I was living in LA at the time and I realized that I could go to local events and kind of got into the indie scene, and that really like stole my heart. And that's where I started to explore even more.
So watching it around that time in 2016, what really kept you going for you to keep watching wrestling from that moment on until basically now?
So there were two things. One was this the actual thing that got me to sit down in front of the television was uh, I heard Sami Zayn's theme song, and my roommate in college was really into ska, so I thought I knew the song. I was like, I know this song. Who does this? Wait, what? This isn't a ska band. This is okay. What? Hold on. And then I like sat down and sat through the match. I think it was around the time of the rivalry with KO and Sammy, and I absolutely loved that. That really kept me engaged, kept me wanting to watch and wanting to see what was going to happen. But also at the time, I was watching a lot of Lucha Underground, and I loved just the cinematic nature. I absolutely loved the theatrics and the drama of it, and that was another thing that I really enjoyed. Taking the time and making a point to watch because I found it so intriguing.
I think it's also interesting when you say that because I missed that part of Lucha Underground. I heard about it when it was added on later on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing clips of like people like Chelsea Green and Io who were there, and like I didn't realize that at first until later when people bring that up. I was like, don't forget she did this, and you see that clip of Chelsea Green. I'm like, holy crap!
Oh yeah.
You don't ever see her doing stuff like that except for there. That's what it feels like. Same thing with Io and like them going against like Penta, for example, like Penta, and then them just what is this? It just I like that it was also that theatrical part reminded me a lot of like the soap operas that I used to watch when I was younger. So that's another like mix to it. It was like I never thought about wrestling in that aspect until I saw that, which is super interesting. And it's kind of unfortunate that we don't have it now because I'm being curious about like what would it be like watching it now though, because now that I have the knowledge about it. So I feel like that would be like a whole different experience at this point.
Yeah, it felt so different because I always realized that one of the things I liked the most when I was watching wrestling was the I always think of them as like cutscenes of a video game, like things that would get the really high budget productions of everything. Like that was what always like this video package is really doing it for me and get me in my feels. Like I love stuff like that.
Yeah. And another thing that I was curious about because as you said, for me more than anything, what stood out to me is like I always see you posting about your series, Let's Get Serial, and about your commentary gigs, I would say. But how did you get started in wrestling media, like as a whole?
I actually kind of got started in the wrestling world first. I had gone to a tryout at Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy. And like at the time I said I was living in LA, and I did all the roles and some of the bumps, and I had been thinking about if I were to wrestle a wrestling character. And I went through this tryout. I at the very end of the tryout though, they had a part where it was all about cutting a promo. And that was where I was like, oh wait, no, this feels right. This feels like what everything else hurts. This feels fun. And then I remember after the tryout, I was kind of like, I don't think like the in-ring physical portion of it is really for me. But they did say that they were going to do a class that was going to be just for managers, for announcers. And I had gone into that class with every intention of being a manager. In that Santino Brothers, they called it like the advocates class. We learned everything from production, refereeing, setting up and tearing down actual sets for like makeshift studios and recording wrestling, managing, commentary, ring announcing, everything. And I think it was through that I started working shows and just going to help out at shows just to show face. And that was kind of where I just got into the wrestling world. And then the whole media portion of it really came way after the fact. Let's Get Serial kind of came about because I randomly was talking about cereal one day on social media like years ago, and people took to it and people wanted to engage with me and talk about cereal with me. Then it became, fans were bringing me cereal at shows when I was doing commentary. And I was like, well, I can't eat all this myself. So let me start taking this cereal to wrestling events and having it in the locker room. And then talent would be eating the cereal. And I'd be like, hey, do you want to like sit down and talk to me about, I don't know, like, let's just talk. Started recording stuff. And then eventually, putting the name on it of Let's Get Serial and it becoming a little thing. So everything else has just been little opportunities that have come my way. Like we're for CCW, for Capital Championship Wrestling, getting paired up with Ella J. Like that was such a fun experience that I never really thought that I would ever do, but it just kind of came about because we wanted to get to know more about the talent on the roster. And you know, I had never met Ella before, but we had this really great chemistry, and it led to some really, really awesome kind of exploration of who these people are and getting to know them a little bit better. So things have just kind of like come in
Yeah.
succession, but it all really started from just getting in the wrestling world through the school, through Santino Brothers.
I feel like you have such a unique start to it because I never had anybody start that way before. And you also saw one of my questions that was like how you started that your series Let's Get Serial, because I love your thumbnails too. That's something that definitely like caught my attention whenever you post that you have any videos. It's like I know her now. I know what she does now. So it's like you put like a face to the kind of like that brand. So like whenever I see a thumbnail, it's like I see the cereal, I know it's you without even looking at the post itself.
I said my goal was I want people to think of cereal and think of me in the wrestling world. Like I want that to be
Yeah.
my thing.
Oh, I think it is already a thing. I don't mistake that in any way, shape, or form. But I also wanted to say, like, definitely, Ella is one of those people that I wanted to like, go back to what you said there. Ella is one of those people for me as well. Like, for since I started, she has been there, to give advice, to do shows with me, and to give me that experience that I never had in other places. So I'm always grateful, and I love Ella J more than anything. She's one of
Awesome.
the few people that I love in this community because she's so humble, and she's one of the people that she doesn't realize it, but she's also a great source for a lot of us in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even realize it herself when she does it. But yeah, I'm thankful for her and everything she's done for me so far. Um, but
Love fest.
Yes, I can never do the heart. There you
There
go. Another thing that I was curious about too, because I've seen the positivity at least in your Twitter account because that's what I follow the most, and that's my favorite platform. But I wanted to know what was like for you being a female in the wrestling community, which is so male dominated, especially because, like you said, you do the commentary, and you have to do commentary for male and females for other shows that you do, and just over on the platform, like what has been your experience like being a female in that female dominated community?
I have to say for me, my own experience, I feel very lucky. It was very positive for me. I don't know if it's because like coming up through a school and knowing that I think I was one of two women in the class of that advocates class that I was talking about. I felt like I had built-in big brothers that were, or if they were younger than me, whatever, they usually were towering over me. So it was like I
Mhm.
felt like I had
Yeah.
such a great support that no one was really going to give me a hard time or mess with me. Usually we kind of traveled in a pack. It was like, oh, here come the Santino's advocates. Here they come to help set up the ring. So I think because of that, I always just had positive experiences. I had some great, male counterparts that I've been able to work with on commentary that I've learned a lot from. I've, been able to, yeah, I've been able to say that I've never felt I always felt like it was a positive experience, and never that anyone was doubting me or that I had to, prove myself more or anything like that. Honestly, one of the biggest things I think is that sharing a broadcast with certain people, and I don't think it was because of me, being a woman, or maybe just because they didn't know me. A lot of the time people would be like uh overwhelmingly surprised that I
Mhm.
was okay at my job. So like that was maybe the one thing that it's like, hey, wow, you're really good at this. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, thank you. Did you expect me not to be? I don't know. But like that would be kind of the only
Mhm.
thing where it was kind of like a little like sneak diss in a way. I don't
Mhm.
know, but like a little backhanded compliment. But no, honestly, for the majority of the time, I felt like I've had a lot of support through my experiences. So I've been really, really happy.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot in your Twitter. So it's like it's always been positive when I see you posting anything new, whether it's like anything commentary or your series. It's nice to see that positive reaction and feedback that you get from just even posting the stuff without people even watching it yet. Um, I also wanted to get back to like the part of your commentary because, like I said, I never had anybody that really does commentary. At the time that I was doing it with Ella, she was just starting. So I wanted to know when was that moment that you like kind of started with your commentary, and how was that experience for you when you first started, or like even your first gig doing commentary?
Yeah, my first gig doing commentary, I was I think it was like October of 2018, and I was kind of approached about a role, and I was like, I was in this mindset of just say yes to stuff and then figure it out. So so I accepted this gig to do commentary. I was lucky I was able to work alongside Christian Cole, who was so kind and so generous, walked me through everything, led the broadcast along, pitched things to me that I felt comfortable with, kind of speaking my piece. And the way I always tried to approach it was very much like at the time Renee Young, but Renee Paquette would do this more like a journalistic kind of approach where it was, oh, hey, I talked to them ahead of this match and they said XYZ. Or, on social media, they had this to say. So I didn't feel confident at first talking about like the moves or the action or anything that was happening. So what I wanted to fill in was that storytelling element, and Christian made a really great experience and set it up really perfectly for me to have a really awesome first time. I was terrified, but it was a very positive experience after all was said and done.
I like that you said that because I felt the same way because I thought about myself sometimes as like different roles, and I thought if I were to do commentary, I would definitely not be able to do or like name the moves as they're happening. Because first I get nervous, and when I'm like while I think about it, something else has happened, so it's probably long gone by now. So it's one of those
Yeah.
things with the timing that is like I am not 100% confident. I'm terrible with like remembering the names of the moves. Like my brother told me somebody's finisher is this one. I was like, yeah, whatever that is, because I don't know the name of it. I won't remember that either. So I always thought about like what it would be like doing that like in real time, and like the timing of it, that you have to say things by like a certain time and react to it by a certain time before it gets like kind of like old because it already happened in the match.
Exactly. And that's honestly one of the biggest struggles, especially like some of those like high speed matches. It's like, okay, I'll just see them at the end of this, like I don't know. But like that was one of the
Yeah.
best pieces of advice I was ever given in from Lenny Leonard, when someone I hold so highly as a mentor of mine said, you'll never be wrong if you just call what's happening. Because I would get so in my head of trying to make sure I got every little piece of every information out. He's like, call the action. You'll never be wrong. Just call the action. So I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, you know what? Isn't that so true in life? And then I take it to like this whole thing about mindfulness. But like it was such great advice that I still try and remind myself of now, because it is stuff like that where I'm like, oh, did I do that right? Or did I say that right? Or was that the wrong thing? Meanwhile, three more things have just happened that I've missed. So
Mhm.
struggle's
No.
real.
And now that you mentioned a mentor as well, like, do you have advice for anybody that would like to either do ring announcing, commentary, anything like that? Like, how do they start? What should they keep in mind? The little tips like that.
As far as starting, I think everyone's journey is so different. So you can get into it so many various ways. To me, it's always the idea of going to a show and doing what you can to help out. Um, you know, kind of ingraining yourself in as part of the community and building that trust, building that rapport. But really just watching a lot of wrestling, studying a lot of wrestling, studying voices that you like, studying voices that you don't necessarily like, and finding a style that feels like you. I think that so much of the time it's hard not to try and just replicate something that works, but trying to use what works and do it in your own voice. I think that that's one of the biggest struggles, but I think that it really is a matter of just repetition and kind of building your confidence through that. Biggest thing is, I think, just don't give up on it if it's something you really want to do. You're going to have shows where you don't feel super confident in your performance. You're going to have shows where you feel over the moon happy with how you did, and that'll ebb and flow, and you just got to kind of stick with it.
Yeah. And another thing, as you mentioned earlier, because I know you do CCW and you do a lot of other things around as well. But since you do commentary for a lot of those indie companies, is there anybody that you think like stands out to you that people should really watch out for, whether it's male or female in the industry?
Wrestlers or broadcasters?
It could be either, whichever you want to pick.
I think Sam Latuerne is incredible. I always will sing Sam's praises. Just a lot of hustle, a lot of hard work, great voice, and I think is just still building upon it. So I think the sky is absolutely the limit. And I definitely think that that's a voice to watch out for, because I think that she is going to take the hell over. I think it's just a matter of time. I could never, like, I can't pick a favorite wrestler or one to watch, because there's just too many incredible talents out there, and too many that I really, really enjoy, that I would literally be here all day singing their praises and talking about them. But broadcaster wise, I definitely think that Sam and Jordan Castle is really awesome over on the West Coast. Been working a lot with Prestige, actually has been bi-coastal too. So those are two that I think definitely to be on the lookout for as far as broadcasters.
Yeah. And like we mentioned at the beginning, you do a lot of things so far. So is there anything you haven't done that you would like to do, or like would like to try out to see how it goes, though, just to like kind of tip your toes in it?
That's a really good question. One thing that I've kind of been starting to reapproach is managing. My boyfriend Andy Brown, we did a show for Labor of Love in Philadelphia, which is where we're based, and I actually resurrected my old manager character, Kathy from Human Resources, and it was like ridiculously fun. I was terrified because I hadn't done it in so long. I was like, "Oh, I'm rusty. I don't know what to do." It was really, really fun. So maybe that could be something, and as I'm starting to maybe dip my toes back in, that I explore a little bit more.
Yeah. I also had a couple of community questions for you that were super interesting that I had to include. So I wanted to get the first one from my co-host from Taking Over Ed. Um, he said, "What part of the media, rest of the media, do you feel the most confident in, and the least confident in?"
Ooh, I don't think I feel most confident in anything. I think that to me, I never want to be too confident, because then I'm afraid I won't give it my all and I won't try as hard. So I try not to be super confident in anything, just because I never want to lose that drive to be better. I think one of my favorite things to do is commentary. I just really like being part of telling the story, and knowing that it's not about us at all. We should be kind of like flies on the wall, but if one or two things that we can say can enhance the experience for either a wrestler to put it in their reel and feel comfortable sharing a clip of a cool move, or for a fan to get a little bit of deeper insight to know more about this talent, that's a job well done. That's wonderful. As far as things I feel the least confident in, I'll say managing, just because it's something I haven't, like I said, I haven't done it in so long, and it was a fun little Kathy from HR coming off her sabbatical, but I do it so infrequently that it is something that I think just the lead up to it is like
Yeah.
panic.
The second part of his question was, which promotion she's worked at that makes her feel the most at home.
Ooh, I think as of late, it has been Pro Wrestling Grind up in the Northeast. They're based in East Hampton, Massachusetts. Awesome, awesome locker room, incredible section of talent there, and just a really overall very fun energy. Super duper supportive. Everyone kind of rooting for each other. Absolutely love them. Blitzkrieg Pro has been another spot that when Andy and I moved up to Philadelphia from Florida, they were the first place to kind of give us a little shot here. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I feel so grateful for all of the companies up here that have just taken us in, because they didn't have to, like we were just coming up here, and we had, done work out west. We had done some work in Florida, and now coming up to like for me, it's my hometown, but coming into a new kind of area, everyone just kind of, took us in and made us feel really at home. And we feel really, really lucky and really grateful.
The next one that I have is from West Coast Pop. They said, "How did she come up with Let's Get Cereal," which we answered already earlier, and what are her favorite memories from living on the West Coast?
Oh man, I had so much fun on the West Coast. It was something where too, I think for out there, I miss the little like loops that you would get into where you would have shows like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'd have the championship wrestling tapings on a Sunday afternoon. And those were such fun days because they were super long days, but the venue that we were at was right actually by the beach. So it was like quintessential, like just California experience. If we're an East Coaster, I'm like, wait a second. So you're telling me we get to do this wrestling event. I get to watch cool matches, and then I get to go walk on the sand and like see the ocean. Are you kidding? So I think that definitely stands out as just a really cool memory, really awesome friends, and yeah, overall that was really, really dope.
And the last question they had was that the serial connoisseur, broadcasting sensation, the rig technician, and what other talents does she have?
Ring technician. Oh, no, that is absolutely not. There is old training footage of me out there. Do not watch it. Don't look for it. It's terrible. It's awful. I was meant to talk about it, not to do it. Oh God, sorry, that threw me off so much. What was the question? I'm like, oh, ring technician. Hell no.
What other talents do you have, basically?
Oh, I sing. I like to sing.
Really?
I went to school to sing, which is really silly. Now I just use my voice in different ways. But yeah, I have my bachelor's degree in vocal performance. So that would probably be my little hidden talent.
Yeah, that's something I never thought about, and like I didn't know that was a thing either. Yeah, I learned something new. And this one's from Shay Sawyer. She said top 5 favorite shows. Oof, I don't know how you were gonna answer that because I wouldn't be able to.
Oh my God, sorry. First, hi Shay. Second, okay, 5 TV shows.
Yeah.
Okay, this is tough. Parks and Recreation has to be on there. Parks and Recreation is like my comfort show. If ever there was just like a bad time in life and I just need to be like grounded, that theme song is like my little security blanket. I'm like, okay, everything is fine, everything is good. So Parks and Recreation, definitely. I feel like most of what I watch is wrestling. So I'm like, do I even watch television? What We Do in the Shadows, I loved. Oh my God, what other TV shows do I watch? Oh, The Magicians, which was on Sci-Fi. That was a really cool show. Have you watched it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I feel like I think if it's the one I'm seeing, I've seen it on the CDAPIO app. Like I see a little thumbnail for it, but I haven't checked it out yet.
It's a good one. It's a very wild and fanciful adventures. It's like a bunch of magicians that are in like a master's program, but it's like it's for adults. So it's like it's not like funny, haha. Like there are moments that are very witty. I'm just buying time because I can't think of any other television shows. Oh my God, I don't even know what I watch. What do I do with my free time? Top 3. I got top 3. Magicians, What We Do in the Shadows, and Parks and Recreation.
Well, we'll erase the other 2. We'll do top 3.
Oh wait, Bob's Burgers. Sorry.
There you go. So I ended up with the other one.
Okay. One's gonna come to me like as we're chatting, and I'm just gonna blurt it out. So
yeah, you got it. You got one more left. Next one is from Bobby Petito, who's such a great supporter of the show. He said, "Who's your favorite indie wrestler to watch, or indie wrestlers to watch?"
That's a hard. I will say, Andy Brown, I think, is a very underrated talent. He is so enjoyable, so entertaining, really deceptive athleticism, flexibility, and just always one to talk all the crap. So if you go see him live, you are in for a treat and you're probably going to get yelled at. And I think that just makes it exciting because that's these interactions are what it's all about. I think, dang it, now I'm going to start naming names and it's going to be a problem. No. Heather Monroe, I think, is fantastic. Another person that I just think has so much charisma and is so engaging to watch. I love Jordan Blade. I just think her style is so different. Janai Kai is awesome. Now it's going to be a problem because now it's just going to spiral out of control. There's so much awesome talent out there that I would be doing a disservice to even try to highlight a few because there's too many to name, but I did name a few. So there you go.
There you go. The next one was from Mark Talks Wrestling. He says, "How did she get into being a ring announcer and a commentator?" Which we touched up on already. If somebody was looking into it, what did they need to do? Which is something that we kind of already mentioned a bit. Unless you had something else you wanted to add to that.
No, I think the main things is just there's so many different avenues to just kind of,
Mhm.
if it's something you really want to do and really want to pursue, reach out to people that are doing it and try and pick their brains. But for the most part, like, just don't be deterred. And if it's something that you want to do, just always be ready, because you never know when an opportunity is going to come up. So
And this is from SCW Steve, which is the wrestling channel. If Alyssa wants to have her favorite cereal while watching her favorite wrestling match, what will she be having and watching?
well, okay, favorite cereal is easy. It's Golden Grams. I would be eating Golden Grams and I would be watching. For old time's sake, probably something from that rivalry between KO and Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna anything that involves the two of them, and I would be enjoying that. But definitely Golden Grams. That's way easier part of the question.
I was gonna say that's gonna be a hard one. Just trying to pick one answer to
Oh
that
my
though.
god, yeah.
I don't know how you do it, but yeah, definitely. Um, but no, before anything, I just wanted to get if you can tell me or where people can find you on your social media. What do you have going on coming up soon? Since this will be released hopefully next weekend.
For sure. So actually, from when we're recording, this upcoming weekend is going to be Wrestling Open on Thursday, and Pro Wrestling Grind, which I had mentioned before, is going to be on Friday the 26th for their event Emerald Sword. Is going to be broadcast later on IWTV, but Wrestling Open will be live on IWTV. God, what else is going on? I don't know, Let's Get Serial episodes on Saturdays. I am on social media at AYY_Marino, and I do little snack content on there where I do snack finds, and I do my quick question segments on social media where I just ask wrestlers random questions and bother them while they're recovering from matches, and they love it. It's fun.
Mhm.
It's been really, really cool and just a fun kind of little project to work on. So yeah, you can find me there and check out my little bit of content that I make.
Yeah. I want to thank you for coming on with me today and just taking that time out of your days for me to interview you like this, even though it was kind of a short one. But no, I want to thank you more than anything for giving me this opportunity. I know that, like I told you earlier, the hardest part is to get people to reply, and I was really surprised when you did, but I'm really grateful at the same time.
I'm really grateful that you reached out. I really appreciate it. And this was very
Yeah.
fun. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So I want to thank you for coming on here. Thank you everybody for watching the interview. If you haven't yet, this will be also on the podcast platform. So check it out there if that's what you prefer to do as well. But if you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on that bell to get notified whenever I'm live or whenever I upload something new. And that way you don't miss the next episode of Astrid Ask when it comes up live. But thank you everybody for your support, and we'll see you next time. Bye.